Kenya is best known for its teeming wildlife and breathtaking panoramas. It's also home to the iconic Maasai. But they are just one of over 50 different ethnic groups peopling the country, each with their own traditions and languages. A family of photographers, Dos and Bertie Winkel, and their daughter Femke, are here to search out how Kenya's traditional people and the wild places they live in are coping with the pressures to change. They discover how the future of the game-filled grasslands of the Maasai Mara lie tied to the very future of the Maasai themselves. Dos and family begin their journey in Nairobi, the bustling capital of Kenya. Today the Maasai lands lie a full day's drive away on the other side of the Great Rift Valley, the biggest tear in the Earth's crust. The Winkels are heading for the Maasai Mara, the last bastion of the Maasai people, and home to George Rumagere, who has agreed to introduce Dos and family to the tribal peoples of Kenya.
Well, welcome. Finally, nice meeting you. How are you? Good. How was the journey?
Fantastic.
Is this actually the place where you grew up? Yeah, this is one of the places. We traveled a lot all over the area. Most of the research my mother was doing was on the top of the escarpment with the Syria Maasai. But this was sort of base. This became our base.
This is also home to George's mother, Jacqueline Rumagere Eberhardt, a celebrated social anthropologist who has lived and worked with the Maasai for over 40 years.
Almost immediately they adopted me and my children, and this is traditional with them. And I am told that George speaks Maasai with no accent.
George takes us up the escarpment, way off the beaten track, to meet a group of young Maasai warriors, or Moran.
This village, or Manyata, has been especially built for the warriors. It's a temporary home and base for a complex set of preparations that'll lead in a few months' time to one of the most important ceremonies in the life of a Maasai man, the Eonoto, which marks the transition from warrior to elder. For a warrior, this is a period of mixed emotions. The transition to elder will mean he can marry and take on more responsibility. But it also means an end to the freest days a Maasai man will ever know. Ole Naiguran is the leader of this warrior group. His job is to coordinate the activities of the Moran and communicate with the other warrior Manyatas preparing for the Eonoto. These Moran belong to the Syria, the smallest of the 12 Maasai clans and the least influenced by the outside world.
So you bring the cat.
Ole Naiguran tells me that his family has known George since childhood. It's because of this we're getting such a warm welcome.
Traditionally, the Maasai don't drink water. They use it only to make tea, a habit learned during colonial times from the British. The beadwork jewelry associated with traditional Maasai women is, like the tea, also a relatively recent adoption, introduced when Europeans began trading in glass beads. Before this, Maasai women decorated themselves with plain iron rings. And while these colors and designs appear today traditional, they don't in fact follow a rigid pattern. The arrangements and color choice are constantly changing, depending on the fashion of the year.
Being traditional does not mean being static, not evolving, not going to something new. And the Maasai are expert at this. They can adapt to all new situations, but keep their roots. They are not, as we pretend, Stone Age people. They are all modern.
Ole Naiguran has brought Femke down to the Mara River to introduce her to some wildlife.
They've killed people before, huh? Yes. They look so cute, but they're actually very dangerous.
Curiously, these lumbering vegetarians kill more people per year than buffalo and lion combined.
There you go.
Johnny Baxendale, a friend of George's, who had done the aerial work for the film Out of Africa, offers to show me the Mara from the air.
This is incredible. You can open the door now. Shall we do that? Yeah, just open it. Excellent. This is excellent.
One thing you notice from the air is the network of animal tracks we see below us, crisscrossing the plains.
The scene unfolding is as majestic and timeless as ever. But today, the Maasai Mara is being threatened on all sides, from rampant poaching to deforestation and bushfires. Fire has been used for centuries to encourage new growth in the grasslands. But today this burning often goes out of control, seriously damaging the remaining woodland. The irony is that the Maasai Mara is one of Kenya's richest sources of tourist dollars. Yet until recently, very little of that money has gone to the upkeep of the park or to the surrounding Maasai communities. Much of the training for the Eonoto involves dancing. This follows a traditional set of rules and climaxes in a spectacular feat of jumping known as ipid. The higher the jump and the longer the warrior can keep it going, the more virility and vigor he shows.
One thing that fascinates me is the way they jump. Almost without using their hips and knees, they use their calf muscles as though they have springs on the soles of their feet.
What an incredible experience! So we're just one of them, and this is all preparation for the Eonoto, the end of the warriorship. And then, at the end, the mothers will shave the hair of the warriors, completely bald, and then they become elders.
The warriors begin preparations for a meat feast. The secluded forest area is sought out and cleared. This barrier of branches is intended to keep wild animals at bay.
Suddenly, I notice excitement among the Moran. For a moment, I'm not sure what's happening. It appears that one of the young warriors has found a bee's nest high in a tree. The charged feeling of excitement is infectious. This rare find is one of the few sweet treats a traditional Maasai will enjoy.
You can eat it all, huh?
Everything is consumed. Not only the honey, but also the wax and the growing bee larvae. All welcome added nutrition. While the warriors in the tree throw down pieces for us all to share, the real choice bits are kept for themselves. The Moran continue with their singing and dancing well into the night. Their endurance is astonishing. I learn that this is partially due to a herbal stimulant that they are chewing. Super. What is exactly the purpose of the Eunoto?
The means of Eunoto is to be graduating to the last time of warriorism, to finish that step of warriors.
So, how long do they stay in this Manyata for that purpose?
About 3 months to 4.
Yes.
Here in this village.
The cow is central to the Maasai way of life. And cow's milk still forms the cornerstone of the Maasai diet. To balance their diet, they drink cow's blood. This young warrior is learning how to puncture a hole in the carotid artery with an arrow. An elder steps in to show how it should be done.
I lived for 11 years the Maasai way, eating and drinking only what Maasai would give me in the homes. Drinking blood. You know, I wasn't accustomed to that. And so I didn't want blood. So I didn't drink for 3 months and I became very weak. And then people told me, you're feeling very listless and weak because you don't drink blood. Try it. And I did. And it gave me a terrific boost. And then I asked doctors about it, and they said yes, because your diet had no salt. And through the blood, you're getting back salt in your body, which you need in hot climate. So you see, do things as they do.
The leaf is added to help the healing. This may not be the neatest of jobs, but the calf will recover quickly and be ready to provide blood again in a few days.
The warriors begin their daily preening rituals. I'm fascinated to see that they spend hours grooming, plaiting, shaving and coloring their hair and body with red ochre mixed in sheep's fat. But there's one warrior who needs a little more help with his makeup than the others.
So what does it feel like to be back in the Maasai village?
It certainly brings back a lot of memories. Mainly, very good memories. I was like all these little kids. These were my friends.
So what did you like most of living with the Maasai?
Well, I think it's their pride. Their pride as to who they are, not giving up so easily, They've learned to take the best of both worlds. Yesterday we were talking about the fact that there's so much wildlife left in mainly Maasai areas. And they've got tremendous respect for the environment they live in. That explains why we've got these fantastic areas left. They should really be given more credit for that.
Yeah.
The Mara Conservancy is a rare initiative looking to do just that. For the past year, Brian Heath and his team have taken over the running of 1/3 of the Mara Reserve. And in doing so, channeling the money raised from tourism back into the local Maasai communities. In just its first year, this amounted to 10 times that previously collected. It's early June, and the first zebras and wildebeest from the Great Migration are coming into this section of the reserve from the plains of the Serengeti in the south.
There's topi, there's Thompson gazelle, impala, zebra. Brian, do you consider the Maasai people conservationists?
I think that the Maasai are probably the best conservationists in the world. If it wasn't for the Maasai Mara and the Serengeti wouldn't be here, it wouldn't be the spectacle that we have now. It is their tradition, their culture of living with the animals, which has enabled the world to benefit from this now.
So this is a wonderful example how culture and nature can go hand in hand.
Yes, it's especially true of pastoralism and conservation, but not true of agriculture and conservation.
In just its first year, the Conservancy has booked a number of major successes. 150 kilometers of road have been repaired, buildings have been restored, and the game wardens are being paid again. The resulting boost in morale has led to an aggressive action against poaching.
We've done a lot on security. We've arrested 77 poachers, recovered a lot of wire snares, and made the whole area much, much more secure for the people and the wildlife that live here.
At that moment we get a call on the radio. Some of Brian's men have found more snares. We race to the location. The wardens are all armed and trained to shoot on sight. Oh, this is very tricky. Look, they do that with the grass here.
Small grass there, yeah.
Oh, no, I see. We find 15 snares set in the bushes near a small creek. Judging from their size and the height they've been placed, it looks like the poachers were after elephant or hippo. This would not be for ivory, but for meat. And who is buying this bush meat?
We don't know yet. We don't know.
You don't know.
Public.
Big restaurants
Yeah,
or so?
maybe. 303 Mark 5, 303 Mark 4.
Finally, it's time for the meat feast. To supplement the normal diet of milk and blood and build their strength for the upcoming Eonoto, a young bull has been selected for slaughter. The animal is swiftly dispatched by severing the spinal cord at the base of the skull. The blood is carefully collected, and the skilled process of dismembering the carcass begins. Each and every piece of the animal is used. Special delicacies include the blood drunk warm from the skin, marrow sucked from the bone, and the most choicest pieces of meat, some of it eaten raw. To finish, the digestive juices are squeezed from the stomach contents and drunk. It's believed to be an effective preventative for malaria.
Later, the Moran gather in the woods around Olinaguran and the Lebon, the most powerful men in the community.
Lebon is, I translate by ritual leader. He also is a diviner. So each warrior Manyata chooses a specific Lebon to protect them.
After a short blessing, that's the chalk that you see on their faces, put by the Libon and Olinaguran. They're gonna sing and talk about harmony, peace and friendship.
The Moran return to the Manyata, a whole age group bound to each other for life. Here the individual counts for little. All energies are channeled to the greater benefit of the group.
Once back in the Manyata, the warriors begin the dancing again. Then, at a certain point, a number of Moran go rigid and begin to shake. They're in trance. I learned that these effects are in fact welcomed as a sign of emotional release. Their companions watch over them carefully, making sure that no warrior gets physically hurt.
The Maasai are the society of action. In fact, their society has proved more efficient than ours. Whereas ours come and go, all the big civilizations, they are still there with their way of life.
Many Kenyans now believe that a long-term sustainable future for wildlife can only be reached by rekindling the old traditions and beliefs that brought with them a deep respect for nature. And the Maasai have shown that their way of life and the insights they have into the natural world around them can inspire others to find harmony with the natural world. There is a Maasai saying that goes, "It takes one day to destroy a house, but to build a new one takes months." If you destroy our way of life, to construct a new one will take at least 1,000 years.